Another video on frying cheese to get the fat out of it. So, I noticed that I've noticed that when you cook cheese, certainly cheap cheese, fat comes out of it. And as part of a bigger experiment, I'm curious about this fat. I'm going to do something with it. But I worked last night and there was cheese and biscuits, so there was leftover Stilton. So let's do two experiments. Let's see if we can make some like Stilton crisps, like a Parmesan wafer, but we'll do it with Stilton. Let's see if we can do that, and let's see what amount of fat comes out of the Stilton, and if we can kind of collect it. So it's just left over. It normally would have gone in the bin. I don't eat a lot of Stilton, otherwise I would have brought it home for myself, but it was left over, so let's not waste it. And then, because some of the functions that I work at, you know, I've just put the cheese in the bin. Even if staff are working, people don't like smelly cheese, so it's not as if I can give it away. And once it's been on the table, you know, you really should be throwing food away. But anyway, I'm just kind of curious, but if I throw quite a bit of Stilton away, so maybe if we could extract the fat out of the Stilton that I would ordinarily throw away, we might be able to do something interesting with it, or it might just be a little bit too overpowering. So let's fry it in the frying pan, and then we'll see if it goes like a Parmesan wafer, Parmesan crisp. And let's let this gas. Well, let's see what happens to it, see if any fat comes out of it, and we'll do it in real time. I need to peel some onions, so I might as well peel some onions at the same time that I'm doing this. So I'm here, but not here. But if I'm doing one thing by throwing some cheese, I might as well be peeling some onions at the same time. I might not talk. I don't think I've got anything interesting to say. To be honest, have I ever really got anything interesting to say? So it's frying. It's melting that much, we know. I don't think there's anything I could teach you about peeling onions, apart from waste as little of them as possible. Depends what you're using them for. That can be a 3-in-1 video, this, can't it? We can see if we can get the fat out still, see if we can turn it into a crisp, and you can learn something about onions. So I always, if I'm slicing onions, I always put the root in as well, because there's nothing wrong with it. And we just trim off those browny bits there. My knife needs sharpening. It might be gone past the stage of actually being sharpened. Depending on what you're using the onions for, let's turn it up a bit. Depending on what you're using the onions for, kind of gets away with what you can, how you chop them. So if you look on the outside, like those, the skin on the onion is just a dried out version of the actual flesh of the onion on the inside. So some of these, like that's a little bit too, you're not going to use that bit, but it slowly starts to get thicker. And then if we get around the other side, we'll do it as an example. But if we get around the other side of that bit that's just been peeled off, we get actually usable onion. So a lot of people would want to throw that bit of outer onion away. That's fine to use, is that? And certainly if you're going to put it in a soup and you're going to puree it, that's fine to use. So I'll slice it up and I'll use it. So you can have that bit of information for free. So I don't think we're going to get any fat out of this. Let's turn it up and see what happens. And it might not go crisp, but we'll have a play around with it. So the video will be a little bit longer because I'm just can't be bothered editing it. I might as well just do it in real time, and you can watch me peel onions. Welcome to the onion peeling channel. I'm sure someone will watch these videos of me peeling onions. People watch all kinds of things on YouTube. That's alright. Ooh, we are getting a bit of fat coming out of that. Let's just turn it down. Let's get a spoon and see if we can. Yeah, we are getting a bit of fat out of that. Quite a lot actually. I don't know how we're going to capture it though. Ah, that's what we'll do. I'll remember. Get rid of that spoon and get a wooden spoon. I don't think we'll be able to make a... So it's not going to crisp up, is that? But let's just move that around a bit and see if we can plump all the solids together and the fat just be able to be moved about a bit. So I'll carry on cooking that and we'll see what happens. And I'll carry on peeling the onions. All very interesting, eh? But there is a famous video about the more you faff around, the more you find out. So the more I faff around, the more I find out. I'm not a fan of peeling onions. There's no way of... I've never found a way of you not crying with onions. I just think it's down to... Some people say sharp knives. People say spoon in your mouth. Some people wear goggles. I just think it's the age of the onion, to say the truth, and the variety. Some are more pungent than others. Yeah, so look at this one. Get rid of that bit of root there. That's all fine. That won't be noticeable. So that's a bit crap on that side, but that side's fine. So we just take that off. That goes on the compost, and that's going to go in the dinner. That's all fine. Move this around a bit more, so we can see some of the oils coming out of this. Yeah, it's never going to turn into a Parmesan crisp that. I mean, we should be able to make some kind of Stilton-y biscuits out of it. I always thought maybe I should faff around with that more, but we could actually make some Stilton flavoured biscuits. My sister used to make cheese straws when we were younger, which are very nice, but they were basically just cheese and flour. So we should be able to do the same with Stilton. Maybe that's something I should faff around with in the future. That's all right. That's that. Move that around. There's some fat coming out of that. Quite a lot of fat coming out of that, isn't there? That's something to chat to the cheesemonger about, isn't there? So that's going to be... So from the other experiment where I used the cheap red cheese, we basically found out that once we fried this cheese and the fat's come out of it, that solid block there is not very nice to eat. God, there's loads of fat that's come out of that. That was a blasphemous one. I just blasphemed, not to worry. God, loads of fat's come out of that. There we go. So, if we ever want some Stilton fat, let's see what it tastes like. But it's essentially a waste product for me. That's Stilton. But if we can cook it, we can do something with it, or think of something to do with it. That's kind of quite interesting. So, I don't think we're going to get any more fat out of that. Let's just hold that up at an angle. Turn the heat off. Get a container. And then I just have to filter it. I'll put it through a sieve. What sieve have you got? Ah! Oh, it's a bit stained, isn't it? I'm not particularly bothered. So, those out of the way. And just to catch the solid bits of Stilton, we'll just put it through that sieve, trying not to melt the plastic. Just use that spoon just to kind of push that to the bottom, and then just pour, and the fat will go through the sieve. Just collected that, and we'll have a look. That in back in there. There's still some fat in the pan, but we're never going to be able to collect all of it, are we? See, that's quite a substantial amount of fat that's come out of that small amount of cheese. So, let's have a taste. Let's have a taste. I can collect that fat there. So, don't know what it tastes like. Let's get that spoon out of the way because it's just going to cause mayhem. Give me a pan. So, what is the fat? I think it'd be a bit funky in flavour. So this is the fat. Let's give it a. You see, it's done the same as the other fats. Do you know? That's really interesting. Okay. So, that's interesting. I mean, it's not the best quality Stilton. It's a price thing. So, the people that I cook for want cheap meals. So therefore, the quality of the Stilton goes down. You know, if they wanted a better Stilton, they'd have to pay more. They don't want to pay more, so get a okay Stilton. Oh yeah, so this is sidetracked as always because I'm going to waffle. Cheaper Stilton generally is not particularly as, it's not that it's worse quality than a better quality Stilton, it's just the age of it. So it's just not aged just as long, so it's aged just long enough and then it's sold. To be classed as Stilton, it probably needs to be a certain age, I can't quite remember. But like with most things, and the cheaper Stiltons are not matured just as long. So what I normally do is I will buy quite a lot of Stilton and then I'll stick it in the top of the fridge for maybe a month longer. So I'll have it like a month in the top of the fridge longer than before the time I get around to using it. So it actually matures longer in the fridge, so it actually tastes better. So it's not the best quality Stilton, but it's improved through keeping it an extra month in the fridge. So by the time you eat it, it's quite an alright Stilton. But that's interesting. So back to this. So it tastes like anchovies. That's really weird. I'm not going to open this tin of anchovies, but when you get anchovies in oil, and that anchovies kind of, if you can get past the saltiness, they're kind of quite grainy, are anchovies, and they kind of like disintegrate into kind of bits. Like there's nothing. Like once you put an anchovy in something, you don't really taste it, and it just disappears to nothing. But it's a little bit grainy as an anchovy. If you were to squish it in your fingers, it feels a little bit grainy, and if you were to eat it, it feels a little bit grainy. And that's the same. And this tastes a little bit like the oil that you get out of anchovies, and tastes a little bit like there's a gentleman's relish called Pat and Perium, which is an anchovy butter. Oh, the kids are outside playing. They've been a bit noisy. I'll go and shout at them in a minute. because that's what type of neighbour I am. So at least past the test. Those are 2 years past the past the best. Better use those. They'll be fine. But anyway, so what was my train of thought? Yeah, so a gentleman's relish called Pat and Perium. Pat and Perium is basically a anchovy butter. Anchovies mixed with spices and butter, and you put it on toast. A slight small amount of on toast, and it's delicious in a small amount. Like Marmite and Bovril on toast, you only want a little bit. But that is very reminiscent of the oil that you get in anchovies, and I'm presuming it's this salty umami type of flavour. So that's interesting. I didn't think this would be an interesting experiment at all, but it is. But it is. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I don't know where I'm going to go. I have an idea of what I'm going to do. I have an idea of what I want to do. But that's kind of quite interesting. So that's like an umami flavour bomb. It doesn't taste very cheesy anymore. But that's interesting. That's really interesting. Oh, dirty finger, I've been peeling potatoes and onions. That's interesting. It hasn't got that Stilton-y flavour. Like that knock your socks off Stilton-y flavour. Because a lot of people don't like Stilton because it's too quite intense. It's like a powerful flavour, and people kind of can't get past it, and they don't like it. But that's different. That's interesting. That's something to think about, isn't it? This is very interesting. There's lots of possibilities going through my head at the moment. We'll do something with that. We'll do something interesting with it.